y'all. So, yeah, I have a good bad romance story to tell. I was really nervous about telling it, but it looks like everybody's pretty much finished eating, so I think it's okay now. It it takes place in New Orleans about 10 years ago. It's also coincidentally the story of why I can't drink tequila anymore. Yeah, I'd just gotten out of about a 2.5-year relationship where the guy broke up with me between Christmas and New Year's over the phone when I was 600 miles away. Maybe that would have been a good story to tell. I don't know, but that's not as funny. So about a month later, I decided to, as the old saying goes, the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. And I lived in New Orleans at the time, and I went to this place called the Funky Bud. It's not there anymore, I don't think. I think it closed soon after Katrina, but it's known as the birthplace of jazz, and it's an awesome place. They had this band that played there Sunday nights. They had a residency there called Big Sam's Funky Nation, and a friend of mine played trumpet with them, this guy Jamel. We actually went to college together, and I'd been studying him for a few years, but I was just now single and not really sure what to do about that. But I figured a lot of drinking would help, and so I went to see him play one Sunday night, and it was awesome. I'm just pounding drinks in the back, and he gets done, and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling kind of loose. I can talk to him now, and I'm like, oh, hey, I like your show. Don't really know what to do. And he's like, oh, it's great. He's cool. He plays trumpet, so he's like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, hey, let's do some shots. I'm like, oh, cool. Then he brings out tequila shots, and I just always hated tequila. I can't stand the smell of it. Just the smell makes me ill, honestly. I don't even know if I drunk it before this night. I just knew I couldn't for whatever reason. But I did. I did that night, and as you do when you don't do things, you do them. And so I had those, on top of, the 900 other drinks I'd had, in order to get up the nerve to talk to this guy. So then I did a shot with him. I didn't want to, lose face, and that's going to prove to be foreshadowing soon. And so we did the shot, and as soon as it went down, I knew it wasn't staying there for very long. I knew I had to get the hell out of there very soon. I didn't even care anymore about the rebound or whatever. I just had to be away from people, and I needed somewhere with a lot of room for a lot of sprawling and crying and vomiting. And so I'm telling him this stuff basically, and he's like, oh, I'll give you a ride home, because I lived way uptown. I was gonna just walk to the streetcar and throw up along the way. And but he's like, I'll give you a ride home. I'm like, okay, maybe I can save this night. Maybe I'll have the windows down, the fresh air. This is good. He's taking me home. I mean, this is a good sign, And so we get in his car. I roll the windows down. I'm sitting there, and about we're not even out of the French Quarter yet, where I realize the inevitable. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if or even when, or even where at this point. It's will he notice, and it's in hindsight, because since then, I'm 32 now. I was 22 at the time. There's so many ways to throw up covertly. You can, if you have a scarf or a pocket or whatever. But this is New Orleans. You don't really wear a lot of outerwear. So I was probably wearing something like this. But without the accordion, because that would have been a good shield too. But I didn't have any receptacles. So I'm just looking around his car to see what's there. To see what's what. He's driving. I'm trying to look casual. And I'm looking around. Unfortunately, he kept a very clean car, but I did see on the floor, I spotted a plastic bag on the floorboard by my feet. This is a million years ago, back in the days of record stores, and it was a Tower Records bag. And so I pick it up, and I'm making fake conversation, oh, you bought some music today, let's see what you got. And it's there's 3 or 4 CDs in it, and so I take each one out individually, and I'm commenting on each one to, nonchalantly, but I can't even read what they say. I'm so wasted that I'm just making up. I'm just saying oh yeah, that's that band with that dog, right? I don't know. There's just blurry images, and I'm taking each one out one by one, setting them on the seat next to me, and finally, at last, I have this empty bag in front of me, and I just destroy that thing, and I just let it all come out, and it didn't even it really occur to me at the time, oh, I've had a crush on this guy for years, and I'm throwing up next to him into a plastic bag, he won't notice, even though it's just a little small sedan, and the tequila, all the other drinks, the breakfast, lunch, dinner, this being New Orleans, so it's probably a little bit of lagniappe, as we say down there, a little something extra, and so he's still driving, and he's are are you throwing up in that bag? Are you okay? Do you need, I can pull over. And I pause just enough, you know, and I have, you know, my bag of, you know, it's a gumbo of shame in there at this point. And, but I take a breath, and I look up from the bag, and I'm like, no, it's cool. I've done this before. I will not get anything on your car. And to my, you know, to my one credit, I did not get anything on his car. It was all in the bag, very full little bag that I get a little souvenir, like a Mardi Gras throw, you know. And the moral of that story is this is why this country needs record stores. I didn't introduce the song. It has nothing to do with that, but it's really pretty, and it'll take your mind off of what I just said. It's God Only Knows, the Beach Boys.